Hi everyone, welcome back to today's edition of HTML and CSS Crash Course with Benjamin. In the previous lesson, we learned how to include the navigation bar and the drop-down menu, which we now have on our web page. This is our navigation bar, and then this is our drop menu, and then we actually we also reference a different kind of button on the navigation bar, which we name Get Started. So if you haven't followed up on the previous tutorial, you can just get back to the third series and you will have a better understanding of how we got to this point. Now, in today's lesson, we want to reference images as our background for the section image. For the section column. Now, for this section part, we want to give it a background, and we want to use this image as the background for this section, this hero section. So we have actually referenced this using the class. We referenced the B index, and in our CSS file, we have actually written out the index code, and now we want to reference this image to show up as the background. So what are we going to do here to make this possible? What we have to do is that we have to reference where our image is sitting in our file structure. In our folder structure, we have to reference that image. So here I'm making a reference, I'm taking a step back, and again I'm taking another step back. And then I'm just going to say assets, where our image is sitting, and then we have images, and then we will now include the name of our image where it is sitting. So with this line of code, with this line of reference, we should be able to see our file, our web page, having a background. So if you look here now, you will see that our background is now displaying. Our background is now in display. But one thing here is that you will see that the whole of this page is not sitting right. What we have on this page is not sitting right. So what we're going to do here is that to make it sit right, we want to reference an external code, which is going to be Bootstrap. Here we want to include Bootstrap so that we won't need to write so much code for our website to look a bit better than it is right now. So how do we include Bootstrap in our project? All we need to do is visit the Bootstrap website, which is getbootstrap.com. You can do that on your browser, any browser of your choice. Just visit the link, getbootstrap.com. And when you get to Bootstrap, you will see this page is going to pop up. Now, there are a number of ways in which we can include Bootstrap into our project. What does Bootstrap do for us? As you can see here, it says build fast, responsive site with Bootstrap. So Bootstrap actually helps us it makes our life easier because it's kind of a ready-made code which we can use to make things much easier for us. How do we include this in our Bootstrap? You can include this via your package manager, or you can include it via your CDN. So here I'm going to be using the CDN, and if you look here, this is the CSS portion of our Bootstrap. So I'm just going to copy this link, and then I'll come back to our code here, and I'll include the Bootstrap link here. So here's the Bootstrap link for the style sheet. You can see that this is a style sheet. And then I'll still need to go back there and include this JS part. If you look here, you will see that this file is ending with .js, and this is ending with .css. So for the JS part, I'm going to include it in the footer section. Okay? So I'm going to include this in the footer section. And if you save this right now, and then you go back to your project and just refresh, we should have a different feel. Wow, you see that now? So now we're having a different feel of the web page. But you will see that something is happening here which you might not like. All of our links are being underlined. And this is not a good one. We don't want our links to be underlined. We just want it to be a normal link like we had previously. So what are we going to do to make this dream come true? All we need to do is go back to our CSS, visit our navbar column or navbar code snippet. Let's locate the navigation bars. Okay, this is the navigation bar here. We have the navbar drop down, but we don't want to go to the drop down yet. Let's first attend to the navbar itself. So this is our navbar. This is where the desktop navigation starts, and right here we're just going to do something. We're going to say text decoration, and we'll just say none. So with that, let's copy this. And first of all, let's go to our browser and see what we've got. Okay, now you see that none of our links are underlined anymore. All of the underlines here are gone. But we still need to do the same here for this button. So let's go back to our CSS, and then let's go to our hero column, our hero section, the hero section, and then the button link, the get started and the get code link. So let's just include that same code, text decoration, none. And let's go back to our browser and see what we've got. Okay, so we should get the same. Okay, good. So now you can see that we don't have any line under our buttons anymore, our button links. Now our website is looking so much better than the previous one. Or how do you see it? So now let's go back to our code and write out another code for another section. Now that we've finished the hero section of our website, let's go forward and do something more meaningful in our code. So first of all, let's go to our HTML code. Let's go to the body. Here is the section which we opened. You remember that HTML, whatever section we open or whatever tag, make sure you close it. So now we want to open another tag. And this tag which we'll be opening, I'm going to call it the main tag. It's open and now it's closed. And then I'm just going to say ID. I want to reference it with the ID of main. And I want to say that the class, I want to reference the class, and I'm just going to say padding top 100. Padding top gives you some level of space, some amount of space between the sections. It's a good one so that all of your code will be well spelled out. Now, let us include the about section of our website. So I'm going to say about section. This is just a comment. If you don't want to include it, it's fine. You might not include it, but I want to include it so that I want a better view. I want a very neat code space. So here I'm going to say, I'm going to bring this down also, and I'm going to say hang about section. So let's do the same for this hero section. So I'm going to say hero section, and here I'm going to say end hero section. Okay, and hero section, and here the main section starts. Okay, so if you look at this code, even if you weren't here when we started writing this code, just looking at the outline, just looking at the code alone, you will see that it's well readable. That's the essence of comments in your code. comments are very good, and it helps you to spell out what you're trying to achieve in your code. It makes your code very readable for other developers to follow along. So, the first thing I want to do here again is I want to reference this as the about section, and I want to give it a class, the class of about, and then padding top, I want to make it 100, and padding bottom, I want to make it 100. Now I'm going to show you how to reference this in your style sheet. The padding top and padding bottom, margin and all that. I'm going to show you how you can actually go about that in your style sheet, but just hang on. And we're going to grasp the concept of this. Now let's give this a div, opening div and closing div. And for the first div, I'm just going to say the class should be container. And then I'm going to open another div. And then I'm going to say this div, the class should be row and content. Okay. And then because we're having a row, let's make two divs now, two different divs. And then we're just going to give the class column, LG, and 6. And we're going to copy this, the open and close, and replicate it here. So here we have two columns. Okay, we have two columns. And in those columns, we want to do something which you will see how it plays out on the long run. So what I would do here, the first thing we want to do is we want to talk about what we do. Okay, so let's say that for this div here, let's say we have an H2 tag. You know, H2 tag, H1 to H6 are headers. So let's say clear visibility. We're trying to advertise our product here. So let's give it another header 3 and say over 100 million orders across the globe. Okay, so if we save this and we go back to our browser, let's see how this. If you find this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe. Thank you, and see you in the next one.